Good evening, you're now with me, Lorenzo Isaac, for TVS Nightline. Here are the headlines for tonight. Sarawak Building Ordinance 1994 amendments to be tabled at this year's State Legislative Assembly. Sarawak selected as a model for Johor's black pepper industry development. And in world news, Trump starts his presidency with executive orders on immigration, climate change, and many more. Amendments to the Sarawak Building Ordinance 1994 is expected to be tabled during this year's State Legislative Assembly meeting. Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Dr. Sim Kui Hian said that the state government is also working to standardize building laws across the region. He explained that while the amendments were originally planned for the previous session, they were postponed to prioritize other more urgent bills. Dr. Sim assured that sufficient flexibility will be provided to the public during the amendment process.
Possible in May, not in November. SAG said definitely will be this year.
He added that the Green Building Index, GBI, would serve as a guideline, including the provision of electric vehicle charging facilities.
Green Building Index, there will guidelines on Green Building Index, guidelines on EV chargers. Now a lot of condominium, right? They want to do EV chargers, they all start fighting who is paying for it, right? And also all this, the fire safety as advised by the Bomba.
Previously, Sarawak Premier Dato' Pandinginan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg encouraged property developers to incorporate GBI principles into their buildings. He said this initiative would boost the value of buildings from an urban planning perspective and foster a conducive environment for residents. Meanwhile, the Sarawak government is offering flexibility to owners of old and historic buildings to upgrade safety measures required by local authorities. Dr. Sim, who is also the Sarawak Minister for Public Health, Housing and Local Government, emphasized the urgency of implementing these upgrades before the Sarawak Building Ordinance 1994 is amended.
If you look at very old building, they may be historical values, but if you're not keeping out with the safety features, right, you are actually not doing that building justice. It may burn down completely because you say, because it's a very old historical building. That is not acceptable and not excuse.
He said this to reporters during a fire safety campaign organized by the Sarawak Fire and Rescue Department in conjunction with the 2025 Chinese New Year celebrations in Kuching earlier today. He added that the Sarawak Fire and Rescue Department has provided numerous recommendations during the ordinance review process, particularly on new fire safety regulations. These recommendations will be incorporated into the ordinance amendments to ensure all new buildings comply with modern fire safety and construction standards. The Sarawak General Hospital (SGH) has been classified as a flood-prone zone, prompting the state government to propose constructing a retention pond to address the issue. Dr. Sim said that the proposal will be discussed in upcoming meetings to determine the best solution to mitigate flooding to the hospital. He revealed that the Sarawak government has already engaged with stakeholders to explore viable flood mitigation strategies for the area. Dr. Sim said that although STH had never experienced flooding before, rapid development in the surrounding areas has strained the drainage system in the low-lying zone, leading to flooding.
This is the reasons why the funding from federal government realized that SGS is getting flooding, and that's why they want to do a pond in the nursing quarters. A dry pond concept is for 3 to 5 times a year. When the water is too much, they sit there. but the rest of the time is empty. So the rest of the time, that area can be turned into useful recreational way.
Dr. Sim added that the retention pond initiative was first implemented in Batukawa as a pilot project to tackle flooding caused by climate change. Although the Batukawa project is not yet fully completed, it has already proven effective in mitigating floods. He explained that retention ponds function by temporarily storing rainwater that cannot be managed by the drainage system, especially when river levels are excessively high, hence significantly reducing the risks of flooding. The Johor government has chosen Sarawak as a blueprint for advancing its black pepper industry. Johor Agriculture, Agro-Based Industry and Rural Development Committee Chairman Dato' Zahari Sarip said this initiative followed the 2025 budget announcement by the Menteri Besar of Johor, Dato' On Hafiz Ghazi, which allocated 500,000 ringgit for black pepper development. During his working visit to the Malaysian Pepper Board MPB in Kuching earlier today, Zahari said Sarawak was selected because black pepper cultivation in the state is carried out by individual farmers rather than large corporations. Currently, Johor has only about 20 hectares of land dedicated to black pepper cultivation, involving approximately 100 farmers. The state's annual black pepper production stands at 78 metric tons, a relatively small compared to the 3,000 tons of black pepper imported annually into Peninsular Malaysia.
Hits! 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 Terhangat! 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 Dan terkini! Dan terkini!
Welcome back. Malaysia stresses the critical need for cross-intelligence sharing among regional partners to establish a secure buffer zone in the ASEAN region. Home Minister Dato' Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said that such collaboration is vital for fostering peace and security in the face of increasingly complex modern challenges.
Malaysia must vigorously plan and execute security measures in advance to ensure no lapse occur. In addition, cross-intelligence sharing among its regional partners is also essential to establish a safe buffer zone in this region to curtail the widespread impact of conflicts, especially with the growing instability and wars in the Gaza Strip, Russia, Ukraine, and Sudan.
He said this during the 2025 Asia International Security Summit and Expo in Putrajaya on Tuesday, themed Strengthening National and Regional Security. Saifuddin also noted that efforts to create peace are crucial for achieving sustainable development and fostering inclusive, multicultural and multi-regional societies. In addition, Saifuddin highlighted that the upcoming 47 ASEAN Summit in Kuala Lumpur this year will focus on regional security, law enforcement, cooperation, and information sharing.
Which all ASEAN leaders will be present and shared platform to discuss regional security, law enforcement, collaboration, and information sharing. And the 47 ASEAN Summit is evidence of a concerted effort to enhance regional security and solidify the ASEAN partnership.
U.S. President Donald Trump today begins his first full day in office, riding a wave of executive orders signed just hours after his inauguration on everything from immigration to the environment and culture wars. It was unclear if or when more executive orders would come from Trump as the country and world digest the blizzard of actions he took on Monday, including initiating withdrawals from the Paris Climate Accord and World Health Organization. sign in front of roaring supporters at an arena and then later in the Oval Office, the long list of policy changes offered a vivid symbol of Trump's increased preparedness versus 8 years prior when he entered the White House with zero governing experience. In the Oval Office, he held an impromptu 50-minute press conference as he signed more orders, including one pardoning around 1,500 Capitol rioters charged for taking part in the assault on Congress on January 26, 2021. He also signed an executive order to designate drug cartels and other groups as foreign terrorist organizations. He signed orders declaring a national emergency at the Mexican border and said he will deploy U.S. troops to tackle illegal immigration, a key campaign issue that drove his election victory over Kamala Harris. The returning president often struck a nationalistic tone, pledging to impose trade tariffs, rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and take back the Panama Canal, which has been controlled by the Central American country since 1999. Trump is making history as both the oldest president ever to take office and as the first felon after a conviction related to paying a porn star hush money during his first presidential run. He's also just the second president in U.S. history to return to power after being voted out after Grover Cleveland in 1893. A landslide triggered by heavy rain on Indonesia's main island of Java has killed at least 16 people, with 5 others missing. Disaster officials said intense rainfall in a mountainous area near Pekalongan City, Central Java province, sparked the landslide on Monday, collapsing at least one bridge and burying houses and cars in thick mud. Television footage showed volunteers retrieving a body from the landslide on a makeshift stretcher and roads caked in thick mud. Pekalongan Police Chief Doni Prakoso Widamanto said the landslide hit the area around 90 kilometers west of the city of Semarang on Monday afternoon, and rescue workers were trying to find at least 5 still missing. He said 10 injured victims have been referred to hospitals and the nearest community health center. But a Central Java Disaster Agency official gave a higher death toll of 17 and said rescuers face delays due to the difficulty of assessing the area. The disaster official said local volunteers had joined search efforts alongside rescue workers, police and soldiers, while heavy machinery will be called in to help dig for survivors. Indonesia is prone to landslides during the rainy season, typically between November and April. A fire engulfed a hotel at the popular Kartalkaya ski resort in northwestern Turkey earlier today, killing 10 people and injuring 32 others. Turkey's interior minister said the blaze at the 12-story Grand Kartal Hotel, which has wooden cladding, started at 3:27 a.m. local time. The resort is located on top of a mountain range about 170 kilometers northwest of the capital, Ankara. 3 people died after jumping from the hotel's window. The fire, which is believed to have started in the restaurant at around midnight, spread quickly. It was not immediately clear what caused it. Local media said 237 people were staying in the hotel, where the occupancy rate was between 80 and 90% due to the school holidays. Those evacuated were rehoused in nearby hotels. Justice Minister Yilmaz Tang said 6 prosecutors had been allocated to investigate the blaze. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. For more headlines anytime, anywhere, just head on to our official website at tvsarawak.my or follow us on our social media platforms at TV Sarawak. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Lorenzo Isaac. Thank you for watching and have a good night.